A faded, hand-drawn symbol, a circle with an eye, appeared on the back of every letter, later identified by a cryptographer as a centuries-old occult sigil. The same circle appears on a police report filed on March 3, 1976. The clerk's pen leaves a fresh line, the seal still damp when he signs his name. Within 6 hours, the ink on that report will still be wet, a fact that will later seem impossible. The town's officials will never admit how that symbol changed everything. What if a single symbol tied together a series of threats, a murder, and a hidden cult diary? In early 1976, Circleville, Ohio, was a tight-knit community of about 12,000 souls, where the diner's coffee steamed at sunrise and every porch held familiar voices. Police Chief James Larkin rode his battered cruiser to work each morning, his cap tilted against the chill, stopping to chat with his teenage son, Tommy, who loved to sort his stamp collection on the kitchen table while the radio crackled news about distant storms. Mayor Harold Hal Brunner favored a weathered chessboard on his porch, moving pieces with steady fingers while his sister-in-law Mary, a schoolteacher, kept a pocket-sized notebook of town gossip pressed against the board's edge. On February 21, the police station received a plain envelope addressed only to the writer. Inside, a hurried scrawl accused the mayor and chief of running an illegal gambling ring and warned, "Someone will be punished for the sins of this town." That same morning, Tommy Larkin was seen flipping a penny-sized keychain shaped like an eye, a souvenir from a 1970s occult shop, between his fingers, the metal catching the harsh fluorescent light of the hallway. If that keychain is more than a trinket, what does it say about the writer's access to the town's inner circle? Over the next 6 months, at least 18 letters arrived, each naming a resident, revealing private details like Mary's secret divorce and a local farmer's hidden tax evasion. The letters grew increasingly specific, ending each with the line, "The eye that sees all," a phrase lifted straight from an 1845 Edgar Allan Poe poem. Dr. Ellen Marlowe, a forensic linguist from the FBI, counted the frequency of the word, "the," and matched it to Poe's meter, concluding the writer had studied the poet's work obsessively. But the letters weren't just words. Each envelope bore a faint 7th-word code, the 7th word of each paragraph, when read in order, spelled Stevens, Jones, Harrison. Those were the 3 men later found dead or missing. How could a simple threat list hide a murder roster? The first murder came on March 1, when Carl "Bud" Stevens was discovered in his kitchen, a heavy pipe crushing his skull and his throat slit. The autopsy showed a trace of parathium, a pesticide used only on local farms, still in his blood. No farmer in Circleville owned that exact formulation. The town's only licensed applicator was Tom Harker, a quiet man who kept a rusted typewriter in his basement for personal letters. That typewriter's ribbon was later found stained with a faint orange residue matching the parathium's pigment. Did the killer use the same tool for both the letters and the murder? The chief's son, Tommy, recalled a night in late February when he heard the clack of keys from his father's office after hours. He saw a faint glow from the typewriter's carriage return, a glow that matched the fresh ink on the police report. Could the chief himself have been typing the threats? In 2021, a researcher uncovered a diary titled, "The Watchers," hidden in a box of church archives. The diary belonged to former deacon Reverend Samuel Whitaker, who wrote about a secret society that met on the 3rd Thursday of every month, drawing the same eye circle on parchment before chanting a poem by Poe. The diary mentioned a purge scheduled for March 1, citing, "The one who knows the truth will die." Was this society responsible for the letters, the code, and the poison? If the Watchers orchestrated the purge, why did the poison appear before the physical killing? The parathium could have been a ritual offering, a symbolic blood to bind the circle. The pipe, a weapon of execution, might represent the final cut of the ceremony. Does this mean the murders were a staged performance rather than a crime of passion? The FBI's linguistics team later discovered that the 7th word code also aligned with the first letters of each victim's middle name, spelling a phrase in Latin, mortem nostrum. That translates to "our death." The phrase appears in a 17th century grimoire that describes a covenant where participants sacrifice each other to achieve immortality. Could the writer have been following an ancient pact, using the letters to select who would die next? The breakthrough came when a fingerprint on the back of the eye symbol matched a print taken from a glass jar of parathium stored in the sheriff's lockup. The print belonged to Deputy Carl Jensen, a man known for polishing his badge every night until the metal shone and for keeping a pocketknife with an ornate handle shaped like an eye. Jensen vanished the day after Stephen's murder and was later found dead, his throat slit in the same manner. Did Jensen act alone, or was he the final piece of a larger puzzle? That fingerprint ties the eye symbol, the Poe line, the seventh word code, the parathium, and the typewriter together. The next page of the diary hints at a new bearer of the circle, scheduled for 2028. If you want to see how that new eye might emerge, hit subscribe, because the next envelope could reveal the person destined to draw it. The final reveal: Deputy Carl Jensen, a member of the Watchers, used the police department's typewriter to send the letters, embedding his personal sigil, and followed the society's ritual script, selecting victims whose middle names completed the Latin phrase. Jensen's death sealed the pact, but the diary suggests the society survived, waiting for a new I to rise. The hidden diary still sits unopened in the church's attic, its next page describing a new I to be drawn in 2028. If the Watchers are still active, who will be the next bearer of that circle? The answer may still be waiting in a mailbox somewhere, ink barely dry. The footage shifts to a rain-slicked alley behind the old courthouse, where a lone envelope, stamped with the same sigil, is discovered by a night shift janitor. Inside, a single sheet of vellum bears a name that no one expected.
Miriam Miri Ortega.
The young archivist who had been cataloging the very church records that led us to Jensen's diary. Her handwriting matches the typewriter's imprint, but the ink is a rare iron gall mixture used only in 19th century manuscripts stored in the same vault. Miriam was never a victim, she was the architect of the next phase. Encrypted emails recovered from her laptop reveal that she had been covertly recruited by the Watchers after Jensen's death. The society, far from being a relic, had mutated, shifting from overt murder to subtler manipulation, embedding their symbols into the city's bureaucracy. Their new I would not be a person, but a network, a digital ledger hidden within municipal code, tracking every citizen's movements through the city's smart grid sensors. That new I referenced in the diary's final page is not a single individual but an algorithmic entity, coded in the very zoning ordinances passed in 2022. When the City Council approved the Green Corridor project, a clause was slipped in that linked traffic light sequences to a hidden variable.
The eye.
Every time a light turned green on a pre-programmed schedule, a silent pulse was sent to a server housed in the precinct's basement. That server, cross-referenced with the police crime database, could flag potential ritual candidates based on middle names, birth dates, even social media hashtags. Alternative explanations cascade through the evidence. Some investigators argue the algorithm is merely a benign traffic optimization tool, and that Miriam's involvement is a coincidence born of her proximity to the archives. Others posit the mayor's office, desperate to modernize the city, outsourced the software to a private firm with ties to esoteric societies, an inadvertent conduit for the Watchers' agenda. A third theory suggests the entire saga is a manufactured myth, a viral marketing campaign for a new horror video game, with the diary, the letters, and the new I being staged props. Each hypothesis falters when held against the forensic timeline. The iron gall ink on Miriam's vellum can be dated to exactly 3 weeks before the Green Corridor Ordinance passed. Server logs, accessed through a subpoena, show a spike in encrypted data packets at 2:13 a.m. on the night of the ordinance's final vote, precisely when the council chamber's lights dimmed for a brief power surge. Those packets contain a hash that, when decrypted, spells out the Latin phrase _oculum novum _, the new I, confirming the Watchers' intention to embed their symbol into the city's very infrastructure. The Watchers have evolved. No longer reliant on blood, they now weaponize information, weaving their sigil into the code that governs daily life. Jensen's ritual was a bridge, a proof of concept that demonstrated the power of aligning names, symbols, and timing. Miriam Ortega, far from being a mere archivist, was the catalyst who translated that ritual into a digital doctrine, ensuring the society's survival beyond any single mortal. A street lamp flickers outside the precinct, its glass catching the faint outline of the eye drawn in rain on the concrete. Below, a soft hum rises from the basement, the servers breathing in sync with the city's pulse. If the Watchers have already programmed the city's arteries to watch us, can any of us ever truly be free from the eye that sees us?